All right, let's try this again. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Mike Martinez with the Maricopa County School Superintendent's Office, and we're here today for another mini session, session number 11. It seems like just recently we just started doing these, and now we're already 11 sessions in, with more on the horizon. I think we're going to move to like an every other week sort of release schedule for these. So we'll see what kind of ideas we come up for next week. For now, we're going to talk about employee contracts. So we have Employee Contracts 101. Our own Andy De La Rosa is going to go ahead and kind of go through the basics of creating and generating contracts out of Infinite Visions. So Andy, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Contracts 101. I'm going to go over contract templates and regular contracts that I believe most districts use is the general contracts within Infinite Visions. But I'm going to go over templates as well. And contract templates. But I'm going to go over a little bit about templates and a little bit about the regular contracts that most districts use. And I'm going to try to cram both in this 1 hour, hoping that I can fit everything in there. But if you have any questions regarding templates, call us. We can walk you through it, or just if you're new to Infinite Visions, new to the districts, and new to contracts, we're happy to help you. Just give us a call. So in the beginning, when you're about to generate contracts, you want to start off with human resources, contracts, and contract maintenance. You want to build your contracts from here. This is what we currently have in our training database. To add a new contract, you're going to right click, add. But right now we're going to work with employee notification contract. So this employee notification is set up to use a template. And a template is basically a Word document with merge fields that Tyler puts out the merge fields to use for this template. And the breakdown of those merge fields are in one of the attachments that Mike provided in the chat. When you have a Word document, you have your document all set up, you want to go to Actions, Get Template, and then you're going to go find the document that you have set up for your template. To view, you're just going to click on Edit, View Template, and this is what this template is actually going to look like. These are the fields. You can get a little more creative with the template, customize it to your district, add your district logo, things like that. What you want to do here for the signature, you want to include that signature as an image, not just text. And once you attach a template and you are going to use a template for this particular contract, it's going to override these tabs: the print before, print after, contract signature, and print options. But it will include the elect signature, and we'll get into detail in these fields. But for now, we're going to attach our template. We're going to go over to elect signature. And I'm going to be jumping around here and there, so try not to lose me. But on elect signature, these user-defined fields, you can create user-defined fields, and I'll go over that as well. You're going to select which one you're going to use. Here, I created 3. You're going to enter your text. You do need to have this instructional text in this field, or else you can't save your contract. But once we do this piece, and depending on what fiscal year you're going to generate your contracts, you can do either. You can do it in current year, or you can do it in new year. For this one, we're going to say we're doing it in current year. I'm going to click OK. This is all we need for the template. Now we want to go into employee positions and pay and assign those contracts to your employees. I'm going to apply selection on position. I'm going to filter my grid. You guys can filter your grid however you'd like, but this is what can be helpful. I'm going to exclude anything without one and only pick the employee notification one that I'm working on now. So when you assign, I already have these assigned, but when you want to assign them, you can do a mass assign. So say, for example, I'm going to select all my records. I'm going to go to actions and mass update records. There is a data field for contract. And then it opens up this field to attach which contract you want to attach to these employees that you have highlighted in your grid. And make sure you have your grid filtered when you mass assign. So once you have your records highlighted, you want to select your employee notification. Because I already have these attached to these employees, I'm not going to mark this one here. If you want to mass assign by undoing, you don't want to have this particular contract assigned to these employees, all you're going to do is leave this field blank, keep it on contract, leave this blank, and then here you have to put in a reason. So we're just going to put in here update and then click OK. I'm not going to do it here because I already have it, these employees selected. So once you have your employees, once you have the contract attached to your employees, then you want to go into employee contracts. I had that open already. I'm going to select this contract that I'm working on now. Oh, wait, first, sorry, we have to go to create, replace all contracts to bring those contracts into this screen. These 4 items in this, these action items, you can use however it is that your district wants to pull in your contracts. I personally like the create, replace all. Sometimes if people are working in positions and pay, you may have, if you use any of these, you may miss those employees if they're doing anything in positions and pay. So for now, I'm going to create, replace all. I'm going to select the contract that I'm working on, or you can, if you're working one by one, you can just enter your employee that you're working on. You want to use projected. Once you have your contracts created in contract maintenance and you assign your employee, your contracts to your employees in positions and pay, payroll should have projected amounts already in positions and pay, or you may be a small district and you're the one that does everything payroll, HR. But you want to use projected. I'm gonna click OK. Read your notes, your messages. It's just telling you you're going to create, replace all that meet your search criteria, your selection. I'm going to say yes. Click yes. And here are your employee those employees that have the employee notification. Now remember, we're working out of current year, so you want to filter your grid. I have a contract name. We want to do a start date, an end date, description. You can filter your, oh, I think I just passed it. Or is it position? I think it's position. And let's do this one for amount. So you want to review your data in your grid. Once you have your columns filtered, you want to make sure everything is correct before you move forward with the other steps, because then you're going to go back of undoing everything that you just did. So with these dates here, these are old dates. This is our training database, but you want to go and update the start and end dates for these employees. Their amounts, their days. So to do that, you want to highlight your records. And if you notice, these dates will change and so will the days. To update that, you're going to go to Actions, Multiple Employee Contract Update. This is where you're going to enter your start and end dates. For these particular employees, we're just going to do, oops. And we're just going to do as if they're, I don't know if it's 260, 261 nowadays. You're going to enter your information here. Do not select this checkbox. You're going to click OK. You're going to see the start and end dates updated, their days updated. Double check their amounts. Some districts, if you guys are pretty big, HR and payroll will sit together and cross-check amounts for the new year. Once that is done, then you want to go into highlight your records. Oh, one of the things I wanted to pull up here so you guys can see, let's use this one. Pull up your file name column. You'll see that there's not a contract attached to these employees. Once you do a mass update for these contracts, you're going to see this filtered or filled in with the contract that you're working with. So you're going to highlight your records. I knew I didn't grab them. And you go to Actions, and you're going to, no, go back. We got to print first before we attach them. So highlight your records, go to Shortcuts, Print Contracts, because we have to append first. Select your contract or your employee that you're working with. We're going to go to Employee Notification. We're going to enter our dates. This usually defaults, depending on how many times you're in here, it'll default to the correct date. You're going to enter the date that you're going to issue contracts, the date that they were board approved, whatever date your district wants to use. And then we're going to append. We're going to select the contract that we're working with and click OK. You'll see here it's building the template. It's building that mail merge, and I'm going to go back and show you how to build that mail merge. If you have a big group of people, this will take a while, so just be patient. Close this window. Okay, now from here, where I showed you it was building those that mail merge, you have to have the contract created or the template created. You have to have it attached to the employees and positions and pay. And then once you do a create, replace all in employee contracts, you're going to highlight your employees. And then you're going to select build contract mail merge file. So once you do that, it has to be named export. So you really can't change the name of the file. Then you're going to click your button here to save it to your file, to your whatever folder. And then I'm going to say execute. Click OK.
Sound effect, Mike.
Oh gosh. Click OK. Now I want to go back and view that Excel file with those mail merge fields. Let me say yes. So these are the headers you want to use for your merge field in your template document. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on. There's also a second tab here if you want to include their account code on their contract. But those fields have to have what they call the little caret, and I'll show you those in the template. those fields, and there cannot be a space in between account and code. Same with all these headers here. So that'll help you build your template. We'll close out of there. Okay, now we want to go back and do a mass update of the contract to these employees. We're going to highlight our records. Always remember to highlight your records. We're going to go to Actions, Mass Update, Selected, Assigned Contract Documents. We're going to select our employee notification, click OK, and you'll see this field will fill it. There we go. So you know now that all these contracts, or this contract, is assigned to these employees in employee contracts. If you only want to work on one employee, all you got to do is pull up that particular employee, open up that record, and attach it here. So like I said, we're kind of going to go back and forth. So before you do this step here in employee contracts, once you create your contract maintenance, you need to go add that contract, the name of that contract, to HR document types and in the security user roles, which used to be called payroll user role. So to get there, it will be under human resources, configuration, HR document types. Just so that I know which contract I'm working with, I name it the exact same name as my contract. So what I create in contract maintenance, I basically copy and paste it right into HR document types. And to add a new one, you're just going to click add. You'll name your document type. And for those of you that publish to the portal, and you're going to select show in portal, and you're going to check it is a contract. So I've already created one here. The name of my contract, show in portal, is contract. Once you add it here, there's a little shortcut in here where you can go and add it to the user security role, but it still says payroll user role in here. So if you go to actions, add to payroll user role, this will assign selected documents to the payroll user role. Do you wish to proceed? Yes. Or you go back to your main screen, go all the way down to security, workflow configuration. Remember, this used to be called payroll user role. It is now user security role. Depending on which user role you're in, I'm going to go into full access. And it's going to be in human resources, and you'll see that it added it in in HR document types in security user role. So let's go back to our contracts. Okay, now that we've attached the contract to these employees, we want to go and highlight these employees again because we're ready to publish. Again, make sure your data is correct, your start and end dates, your days, your amounts, and then you're going to go to actions, publish contracts. Do you wish to email employees? You can. If you click yes, you're going to send, from HR at your district. You can, hey, contracts are out. They're due on this date. Be sure to accept, reject contracts by this date, that kind of thing. I'm not going to use it here, but it's going to tell me employee contracts have been published. Click OK. So once my contracts have been published, I can change one of these columns just to make sure that I included everybody. So I go to contract status. It's going to show me that all these people here in this contract is published. So now, once an employee has accepted or rejected their contract, you can go back into your main tab, human resources, contracts and contract status portal. None of these employees have accepted their contracts, but we're going to go back and I'm going to show you how to view this. And if you click on apply selection, or you can pull it up by the contract, you'll be able to see here in the status column whether they've accepted, the ones that are published, or anybody that had rejected their contract. Close out of here. If you had have an employee who accidentally accepted or rejected their contract, it's okay. You can go back in and excuse me, and pull them up individually. Just pull this person up here. It shows that they're published, but if they had an accepted or rejected status, you would highlight them and you would go to actions, copy selected contracts. And what that will do is basically not really void, but it'll open another record up for them so that you can go and publish a new one for them. So no worries. Another thing to, when they go and accept their contract, there's a section in the portal where they can leave comments, and I'll show you where you can view that here in the system and where you can see it on the in the portal. Okay, so that's just a little glimpse of templates. Again, it's up to your district. If you guys want to be more creative, you want to add your logo, that kind of thing. If you want to look into doing that for your district, call us and we'll go a little further into detail on those templates. But now I'm going to go back and basically start this process again, but for the regular contracts that most districts use. You'll go to contracts, contract maintenance. I'm going to create this one. I'm going to work on a teacher one. You'll notice I don't have a template here. I name my document, I type, and my document title the same name. It's all up to you. You can name this however you want, but you can, I do it all three the same. Print before detail. If you just have a little blurb in the beginning of your contract that you want to add, you can. If you want your full contract on this tab, you can. Print after detail. Here's the meat of the contract. And then contract signature. You can go to actions, get signature, and find the signature that you had your board member sign, scan, upload. And there are certain dimensions that the system will accept. If it's too big, you'll be able to see it from the screen here. Like the one that I did, it's pretty big, but you can resize it. So I got my signature. My print options. This pulls from maintenance, from positions and pay, and it's all up to your district how the information you want on the contract. Some contracts, like some districts I know have contracts that are like 3-6 pages. Some of them are very short. So it all depends on what you want in your contract. So for example, we're working on a teacher contract. I want the primary work site, the primary job title, the document name, and to include my signatures that my board member that I uploaded here. I want to include the position, the amount. This is for teachers. If you were working on classified employees, you may want their hourly rate on here. Their start and end date, hours per day, and include days. And then back over to elect signature. So these are the user-defined fields. I'm going to go and show you now how those user-defined fields, where you go and create them. If you go to the main tab, then go to security, and you will probably need to have access to this if you don't already. Workflow configuration and user-defined fields. I've already created my user-defined fields, contract signature. But if you right-click and add, I want to create a contract signature. I'm going to name it what I want it, and I'm going to say, yes, it's required. I need to have the employees fill in these fields before accepting their contract. So I want to make that required. Data type, you're going to, whether it's a text, but you want them to fill something in, it's a date or a drop down. I created drop downs. And this is where you will add your information, what you want to add. And I believe this field right here, it only allows, I think, up to 20 or 25 characters. And I'll show you what I did for one of them. This is what I created, number of pays, required, it's a drop down, and then annualized, non-annualized summer pay for those that offer 3 pay options. So this is where you would add your user-defined fields. Mike, is there any questions right now?
There were a couple. We'll touch on them at some point. That some
Okay.
may not doesn't fit into what you're going through now, but after you're done with it, talk about it.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Now we've created our teacher contract. We filled in all our little tabs, fields, all that good stuff. Now we want to go and assign those to our teachers in positions and pay. And I only did a few of them here. Here are our teachers. I assigned the teacher contract to them. Again, you can do a mass assign if there's, if you, depending on your grid. Sorry. Depending on your grid. If you have people who don't have a contract, you can mass assign those. And you could also remove these contracts from these employees with that mass assign. So our employees have their contract. Now we're going to go to employee contracts. And we're going to pull in, going to create replace all. We're going to pull in our teacher contract. And it pulls everybody in. So then we're going to select our teacher, apply. You'll see that they still need to have their contract under the file name for their record. So we're gonna we gotta go print. So we're gonna highlight our records, shortcuts, print contracts, because we have to go and append. There's our teacher contract. 20. Our year's okay. Date, we'll change it to today's date. And you can also pull them up by just employee name, by employee ID. If you use groups, you can do it through groups. So you can be creative in your selection there. And we're going to click OK. Oops. What did I do here? Did I pick the right one? I did not pick the right one. Contracts have been added to employees' documents. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to close this window. And now we're going to do a mass assign for make sure their contracts. We're going to make sure your records are selected. Mass update. Select our contract. Click OK. If you accidentally attached a wrong contract for these employees, you can go back and select them. We can do another mass update and just leave this blank. Click OK. Say yes, it's gonna clear those. And now it removes them. But we want to go back and put those in because we want to go forward. So now, we'll highlight those records again because we want to go and publish these records. Oh wait, are they published? No. Why is it not giving me the published? Oh, here we go. Jeez. Yes, I want to publish. Oh no, sorry. Now they're published. I didn't want to email. Okay, so they they now have a status of published. So I'm gonna go and log into Candy Bar's portal and go and accept that. Can you guys see the portal okay? I can't see you guys, but I'm assuming you can. I believe most districts use the portal for their contracts. If you don't, you guys need to utilize that. It's great. So I'm logged in as Candy Bar. Here is the teacher contract that's there for her to view. Open. So here's the contract that's attached to Candy Bar. But, so you know how I clicked on before print before and then a print after. So all this information here is what we selected in the print options in contract maintenance. This is what I wanted to print on the contract. But when we go to print contracts, there's going to be a checkbox, and we'll go back to look at that. There's going to be a checkbox where it says to allow after text, I think it is. Let me go back. Attempt to keep after text. So you want to uncheck this, and that is what you won't have this blank spot here. It'll bring this information up. So I want to view my contract, just making sure everything is good. Like I said, we have districts that have pages and pages of their contract. Some of them are short, some of them are long. And as you can see, my signature is pretty big, so I can always adjust that so that it's not as big. So I'm okay with my contract. I want to go in and accept. I viewed it. I want to accept my contract. You can type in comments. And then I'm going to go and select my pay option. I have read this contract and I saved a copy and I agree to terms and conditions. Click yes. So I added these two little paragraphs in the portal. You can color code them. You can put different size. You can underline certain words, and I'll go over that as well. But it's all done with HTML, and I'm not a coder, but you can look some of these, some of the codes online. Just Google it, and it'll help you create those codes to customize it, color, underline, size, or the font. So I want to go ahead and accept my contract. And you know what? I didn't get Candy Bar's social. Ah. $025. All right. Okay. And you get this message at the top, contract has been accepted. So now I want to go in and view, did Candy Bar accept her contract? Gonna go to my main screen. Go back up to Human Resources, Contracts, and then Contract Status Portal. And I'm gonna pull up Candy Bar. I see she accepted the most recent contract. Candy Bar, we pick on her, so you'll see her in different areas of the system. So now I want to go and view when she accepted, what time. You can pull that up here on your column, in your columns. But I also want to print her contract. So if I highlight her contract, go to Actions, Print Selected Employee Contract and Acceptance Report. It's going to show her contract. And at the very bottom of each page, it's going to show accepted, signed on. It'll have today's date and the time I accepted the contract. So if you districts you still print their contracts and place a copy in their personnel file. You can do that with, even if they accepted it electronically. If you had people here that were still out there published, because you districts have employees that wait to the very last minute to accept their contract, but you can email those employees individually. You can email their administrator, and or CC their administrator when you're emailing the employee, letting them know, hey, deadline's coming up, just letting you know, reminding you of your contract is still out there and you need to know if you're coming back next year. Close this. So going back to how to customize this area here. You're going to go to Human Resources, Configuration, and Human Resources Default Settings. And it's going to be in the electronic contract signatures. Here's all the gibberish that you want to type in. This is for the font size, the color, the underlining, and then you type in your information here. But like I said, it looks scary, but you can Google some of this coding for this particular area, because it'll read HTML. And once you have that set, you click OK. You can go back and kind of view it in the portal to make sure it shows in that area, and it kind of stands out for those employees, like, hey, this is what you got your contract, and we need to know if you're coming back. I wanted to show you what that template looks like as well. So let's go back to the employee notification. We publish these employee notification contracts. Let's go and highlight one. Go to like we're going to go and print contracts. We just want to view, and we want to make sure that those contracts look good. And this is for the template. We're not going to append because we've already published them. We're going to uncheck attempt to keep after text. Make sure your dates are good and click OK. Okay, we're going to say OK. And it just gave me a message that it's opened up a Word document. So here's my Word document. And here's it filled in the merge fields. And again, it depends on what information you want to add to that contract. So again, this is the template. You can add your district logo. Here's more information here. Here's your signature. And then you can continue to view. I went on ahead and selected the contract when I went to print. So it's going to show those employees that I had selected and printed. So just go by. Some contracts will be 2 pages, making sure everything is okay. You can save this file, whatever you want to do. And that's this is a way to do the template for those districts that don't use a template, or any type of document that you want to publish out to the portal. You can use those merge fields. Let me see if I'm missing anything. I thought this was going to take me a lot longer. I was trying to fit in both template and regular contracts in here.
So there are a couple questions I kind of want to touch on. The latest one is, does the system notate each time a contract is changed in visions? For example, the change of salaries or dates. If a person has full access, can they go in and change contracts?
So you can, yes, if you have full access, especially in the HR module, you can go into employee contracts and edit any of this stuff, as long as a contract hasn't been accepted. Once it's been accepted, it's there. It'll still be there. Maybe the amount was wrong, the start and end date was wrong, and they accepted it, but then HR went back in to create a new one. It's just an audit trail for auditors saying, this is why this employee accepted 2 contracts. This one was incorrect. So we fixed it and now they accepted the correct one. But yes, you can edit here in employee contracts, but when you edit in employee contracts, you still have to go back and fix that in employee positions and pay. This is just for the employee contracts area. Did I answer that?
Yes, I think you did. Yes. All right. Another question that came up earlier, why would you use, when generating contracts, why do you use the projected amount when generating the contracts? So I think that kind of ties into the bigger conversation of when and where you generate your contracts from. Do you generate them out of your current year, or do you roll early and generate them out of the new year? And we have had all out brawls in the office about what we feel is the best way to do this. And I'll tell you, my 2 cents is to roll, generate in the new year. To me, in my mind, just seems like way less work, where you just go in and you fix the employee's position once and you're good, and you don't have to use the generated stuff. You're good and everything's updated. You just generate contracts and then roll out. There are other people in my office who shall remain nameless, may or may not rhyme with Pilfin. They're like, no, you can generate them out of the current year, and then you just use the projected amount, whether you use salary schedules or you use the projected amount field in the employee position. It gives you a way to put in a dollar amount associated with the position without having to have everything set up already. So you haven't gotten your work calendars all finalized, and you haven't gotten the dollar amounts finalized. There's things that you're still working on. So you give yourself that extra room. The downside of that is when you roll into next year, unless you have salary schedules, you're going to have to go and update all those positions with the new dollar amounts for based off of their contract. Whereas if you had a salary schedule, you just do move projected to current or something like that. And then it updates all the salary schedules. So it really depends on how and when you're generating any contracts. And that may be dependent on what fits for you at a school district. Obviously, I have my beliefs. Other people have their beliefs, and that's perfectly okay. There's a time and a place for everything. So I'm not going to say mine works for everything, or else. But just again, it's really going to depend on what your district's going to do. We have districts. Right now it's January 20th. What do we have? Like 3 districts that have already rolled their general ledger. Four where they rolled their general ledger, and a lot of that is the intent to generate contracts out of the new year to hopefully sort of reduce the number of double entry of data and items that they need to do. So like I said, it depends. That again all depends on what works for you guys.
Yeah.
But what if all right, so the next question came up. What if they want to get contract before you have next year's numbers? I'm assuming dollar amounts or salary amounts. Well, I guess you could generate a contract without a salary amount, but that seems that seems counterintuitive to what you would generate a contract for. Like maybe if you were generating a contract to say, yes, you were going to remain our employee without having a dollar amount in there, I guess you could do that and just not put that field on the contract.
Employees would want to see that.
Yeah. Most everyone's going to want to see that though. So I guess you could do that, maybe like a letter of, and maybe do like a contract instead of actually being a contract, more like a letter of intent to return.
Mhm.
And then creating, once you have a dollar amount, then creating a new contract with a dollar amount and just generate it off that way. Jill or Andy, you guys have any feedback on that?
Actually, some do that to get their contracts issued. You issue it off of your current salaries, and then you can offer an amendment once the board's approved a salary increase or whatever the case may be. So you can work it with your amendments to an amended contract. You can issue a whole new one. I kind of think that more best practice, here's your contract that you're coming back, and here's an amendment to the increase. But again, that's just philosophy on whatever works best for you. Andy, you got the same?
Yeah. And if they were referring to maybe start and end dates, they weren't sure of start and end dates. I would think maybe you can put something like fiscal year 21, 22, rather than exact dates of those positions. But that takes it back to the employees wanting to know, when do we come back to work for those that are 10-month employees.
All right, good. And another question coming across, Denise just tearing up the chat today. Lots of good questions though. Are contracts generated for those in positions that are also receiving a stipend for being maybe like a director role part-time, or just like a general stipend, or basically a supplemental position?
Yes, so good question. Yes, you can assign that contract to those supplementals as well. And what it'll do is, once you assign that and you do the same process as you would a regular contract, it will show, let me see if it's still up. No. The regular contracts, I wish I had it up yet. The section where it has their start and end date, their salary, their days, there'll be another breakdown below that with that supplemental information, what they get paid for and what it is for, whether it be a cell phone stipend, tutoring, anything like that. It'll be placed on the bottom of their position on the contract.
Yeah, so you can, all those supplemental pays that you generate, you can add them on as addendums onto the contract. They just kind of bundle up. Everything rolls up under the same contract. So as long as you have them all assigned to the same contract, when you print that contract or regenerate that contract, all those positions will be on that contract. So there's a lot of flexibility to it. And I can say that contracts now in the system are much, much nicer than the first time I had to teach a contracts class, in which essentially I ended the class with, yeah, just don't use this because it sucks. Now it's so much more flexible. You have the templates, you have a lot more options when you print the contracts, a lot more options in the detail of the contracts. And they look nicer and they're easier. And if you have the ESS portal, it makes them a lot easier to get out to employees. And I think people are getting a lot more used to that. Good questions, everybody. Anything else you want to add, Andy?
If you have any, if you're new to any of this, just call us. We'll walk you through everything. If you don't publish to the portal, we can help you with that on making sure that those contracts are published to the portal rather than print paper. Who wants to deal with paper anymore? And then again, the template, I try to go over as much as I could on the templates, just so that districts know it's there, it's available for you guys to use for your districts, and it's more customizable than the just plain text 9 pages 6 pages contract. But other than that, give us a call. Again, Mike attached the 2 documents for you guys to download. And contracts can be a big thing. I did contracts for a few years, and it was always a stressful time because it was like, all right, they've been board approved and I got to hurry up and now create every one of these contracts and all that good stuff. So in a time, deadline so that these employees can go in and accept their contract. So we're here to help. Just give us a call. I think that's it, Mike. I mean, I don't, unless there's any other questions.
No, there was one that came out. Can attachments to a contract still happen after it's accepted? So no, you cannot change a contract once it's been accepted. It's really just kind of set in stone. You can generate a new contract and push that out there and say, all right, I revised your contract, or I added a new stipend, or added an increase, and push a new contract out there for the employee to accept. But once it's been accepted by that employee, it's done. You're done. You can't do anything. And I also want to point out is that even if you don't have the ESS portal, which is cool, by the way, and I really recommend it if you can get it, you could still use contracts within Infinite Visions without the portal. You just print them out and it still manages your contract information within the system, which makes all your stuff kind of in one spot, as opposed to maybe having a different spreadsheet somewhere or a different access database somewhere with all your contract information. So it really makes it easier to kind of use the contracts in the system now, whether or not you have the portal. So Andy, can you go ahead and just stop sharing your screen there for a second there?
Yes. Where is my stop share?
I'm going to go through this again.
I know.
All right. Well, we seem to always be having some sort of technical difficulties. We did have a lot of weird issues today, but I just wanted to say to everyone, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Andy. Great job today. There's a lot of stuff on contracts. Like she said, there's a lot of clicks that go into it. In essence, though, there's really only a handful of things, and it makes it a lot easier to get contracts out than what it used to be. I'll have this video up to YouTube probably maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, depending on how long it takes it to run. So that way you can go back over it and you can follow along the video as you do contracts within your system. But again, thank you everybody for joining us. It's great having you. Be safe out there. Go get your freaking vaccine shot. I went and got mine last night. It was awesome. It was easy. It was pain-free. My arm is a little bit sore today, but other than that, I'm good. So no freaking excuses. Don't be that punk. Just go get it. Call it a day. All right, everyone. Talk to you later. See you next
Thanks,
time.
guys.
Rawr. Employee contracts. Rawr. Oh God, I'm so tired. Am I in the right meeting? And that would suck.